Hi, I'm Heather Telford and I'm going to be making some Christmas tags with Grafix Dura-bright black. I'm going to be working with the Dura-bright black or black craft plastic and some paint pens and metallic brush pens. The inspiration for this project came from some Christmas balls that I decorated last year on black. And I wanted a surface that would mimic the black of the glass Christmas balls. So I decided to try the Dura-bright black. And I pulled out my swatch book so that I could test some paint pens on a sheet of the Dura-bright black. I settled on a couple of white Posca pens to do white details. And then I tested all the colors from a pack of metallic brush pens to choose which colors I wanted to do. Some showed up better on the black than others. I then cut all my tags from the Dura-bright black on the Cricut. All these designs are from Echidna Studios, designed by either my daughter or myself. They're digital cutting files, so you can cut them out any size you want. I set the material to transparency, and then I did the cut twice. The Cricut did a really nice job, and all the edges are smooth and they popped out really easily. One nice thing about these metallic brush pens and brush pens in general, if their tip is soft enough, you can make really easy leaf shapes by just pressing the tip down on the side onto your surface. So I used that to decorate this bauble. I've sped up the footage because it's quite repetitive, but you can see it's simply a matter of pressing that tip down and changing the angle. Then I switched to paint pens. Make sure when you're using paint pens to give them a shake before you start, just in case the pigment and or mica, if you're using something metallic, hasn't settled too much in the pen. Giving them a shake mixes it all up and then it's ready to go. I used the gold metallic pen on the side as well to get more little leaf shapes or droplet shapes. The size of the brush tip is also really handy to cover an area quickly. It's quite thick, so then I could color the top of the bauble, whatever you call it. So I'm using the brush pen again to make some holly leaves, but because it is flexible, it's not easy to make them really exact. That's not going to be an issue though, because I'm not going to leave them just like that. Using the black Dura-bright or even a black Christmas ball as I did last year, a nice idea is to make it look a little bit like a chalkboard design. So that's what I'm doing here. I've done this color, but then I'm going to go around the holly leaves with a white paint pen, and that really defines the edges. Again, the gold is great for doing the top of the bell and the little ball. And now I'm using the pin type tip, white Posca paint pen. It's easy to control and quite fine. And so you can see I'm getting that chalkboard look a little bit more on this tag. Another cute thing that you can easily draw with the brush pen tip is a little heart. It's the same action, that little leaf shape, but then you join two together at the tip and you get little hearts. I'm using two pink pens from this set. There's a pale one and a brighter one to do the cuff of this mitten and then a little hand-drawn heart. And then I've changed to a bullet tip white Posca paint pen to do stitching. I'm adding the stripes on top of the pink, but I decided to go over this heart in the other direction, the direction that I want the stripes, but also just to make it a little more opaque. You could see a bit much of the black through that first layer, so I just waited for it to dry and then did another layer and then added this pink stripes. A nice thing about using paint pens is that they dry and then you can add more layers of a different paint pen over the top. One doesn't sink into the other and neither are transparent, so you get that opaque pattern of the stitching over the top of the color. I decided to create a tartan look or a plaid, depending on what you call it, where you're from. I've always called it tartan. You could use a ruler for this, but I'm happy with the sketchy look. And it's fairly even. The overall effect is fine, but you could certainly use a ruler. Just waving that in the air to dry it before I add another stripe. If you use the marker straight away on top of other marker that hasn't dried, it tends to push it aside because, of course, the surface of the Dura-bright black is quite slick, so it doesn't soak in, it has to dry on top, so you don't want to push it around. The gold layers really nicely down the center of the green, and you can see that it's beginning to look like a tartan. So even though it's not even and all those little diamond shapes are not the same, it still has a cute look. And I couldn't stop. I could have stopped at any point up till now, but I kept going. I wanted some white lines and then even a little bit of red before I stopped. I'm going to turn these into tags, gift tags with a to and from, but you could use them as place cards. Just put a name on them for the dinner table, or even some of them have got little loops, so you could hang them as decorations. I'm just doing a couple of layers of gold on the cuff of the stocking. And now I'm going to adhere the cuff to the stocking with Artist-tac. It is a sheet of adhesive dots, and all you have to do is press the item that you want to adhere into the dots and it will pick up the dots. I'm just covering up the loop. I don't need adhesive on that, but I'm going to press the top section of the stocking into the dots to pick up a covering of dots, and then press the cuff into those dots. I hope you'll try paint pens or metallic pens on your black Dura-bright because they work really well. The colors really pop, the surface is very nice to work on, and I just really like the finished effect. All the supplies I used today will be listed in the description box below and shown on the screen at the end of this video. Thanks for joining me. If you're interested in more of my projects, please visit my blog, heathertelford.com. And if you're interested in seeing more projects made with Grafix Black Dura-bright, visit grafixarts.com. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.